What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bitch with Conrad Misty. I am Conrad Misty. Tonight, we have a very special guest. I actually got to meet her in real life in DC in January of this year for the Julian Assange extradition hearing. And she's an amazing activist, an organizer, and she's actually running for Congress in Florida's 24th district. So welcome, Christine Olivio, to the show. Thank you very much for coming. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, so we met in January. You came up from Florida for the January 4th extradition ruling for Julian Assange, which was fun. I mean, fun. That's a weird thing to say when you're talking about like getting involved in something like that, but it was fun, like getting together with like-minded people and stuff. It was a really cool experience. So yeah, what have you been up to since then? Because I feel like I haven't really talked to you much.
I know. Well, before that, I just want to let the audience know that the only reason why I'm wearing a sweater in summer, okay, is because I had to represent for my, my free Julian, the E's missing because I wear the sweater a lot and I wash it a lot, but free Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Sweater. I wanted to represent because it was handmade by the one and only.
Yes, I'm a shirt making queen when we go to DC. That's like it's usually where you'll find me, is at the ironing board.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
It was like a whole workshop. I was like, oh, this is like serious.
We have like little stations, like there's a button making station, and then there's the shirt making station, and then there's the food, like we got like a food, everybody's got food out, and yeah, it's
I don't even want to touch on anything about my campaign without saying that what you are doing to fight and advocate for Julian Assange is so amazing. I know that you had the billboard, which I gladly donated to because I thought it was a brilliant idea. You're always going out there. And so I just want to say thank you, because it's not like I can be at every event. It's hard for me to be anywhere, but just knowing that these things are happening and that you're making them happen. Like, I just want to applaud you. Thank you.
Well, I mean, listen, that's really nice. We don't do it for the thanks or whatever. And we get it. Like, not everybody can come to every event. Not everybody, we don't expect anybody to make this their singular issue. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're focused on it, because we know not everybody can focus on it at the same time. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you saying thanks. But it's not necessary. I'm like so awkward when people tell me thanks for doing that stuff, because
accept it, because it's really great. And that's why I'm running for Congress, right? We love to fight for people that are marginalized or fighting injustices like that. They need a voice. We are the voice for the voiceless, and there are very few people that are created to be the voice for the voiceless, because a lot of people say they're the voice for the voiceless and they use it for their own personal gain. And then there's people that genuinely care. And I'm so happy to be surrounded by people that genuinely care. It's just hard right now being a progressive, running as a progressive, when you have progressives that are showing that they're not the ones that genuinely care. They're kind of doing it for their own personal gain.
Yes. And that let's talk about that, because I mean, it's no secret, I don't think electoral politics is going to be in any way. I think we talked about this in January in DC when it's just not, but I've never like begrudged, taken away from anybody who wants to try that option. But I mean, running as a progressive in the Democratic Party must be incredibly frustrating. Am I wrong? Like
it's frustrating. It's disheartening. I find myself wanting to throw in the party towel, not run, but I just almost want to go back to how it was before. I ran for those of you that don't know, my name's Christine Olivio. I ran as a non-party affiliate last election cycle. So this is my second time running. I decided to run in the Democratic Party this time around. It was a very tough decision for me, but it was the decision that I felt in my team, and I felt that was the best decision. This district is a D+34 district. Like, there's no way around it. Absolutely no way around it. Do I think that the Democratic Party has its flaws? Absolutely. Do I also think that only a Democrat can win in this district? Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's part of why I don't think electoral politics is going to work, because the Democratic Party, the game is so rigged.
Yeah.
It's so rigged. Like, even as a progressive running as a Democrat in a Democrat district, it's going to be nearly impossible for anybody who is a legitimate threat to the system to get through even a primary, because they're going to figure out a way to either get you to conform or push you out. And then we keep seeing that over and over and over again. And like you just said, we have progressives right now who are in Congress who aren't doing shit for us. You know what I mean? And they've been co-opted and they're conforming and they're capitulating to the corruption in the Democratic Party. And it's really, I mean, listen, I don't want to, people get so mad at me. My mom's cat's really loud. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Anyways, but people get so mad when I call this shit out, but I'm just being realistic. I mean, that we don't have time for incrementalism anymore. We just don't. It's really frustrating when people get mad, but we can't even get progressive politicians to fight for the things they ran on. And
Listen, they drink the Kool-Aid. I tell everybody, it's the Kool-Aid. The minute you go in, they offer you Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. I don't know what's in it, but all of a sudden, everybody just becomes like little Nancy minions. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, whatever you say, whatever you need us to vote for, we got it. It's really sad. And a lot of people ask me, how do you know you're going to be different? First of all, I mean, I know myself. I'm not in this race because I need a new career. I've actually lived most of my life on nothing. I'm a minimalist. So for me, it's not about money. It's not about power. It's not about prestige. I want to go in. I want to shake things up. I want to help my community. And I want to go on about my life. I have 2 little boys. I want to be at their soccer games. I want to raise my kids. I do not want to be flying back and forth to DC for years and years and years to come and miss my children growing up. Like that's not what I want to do. That's not me.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I mean, also, AOC said the same thing. I'm going to go in there and cause a ruckus.
I'm okay if I'm a one-term representative. Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah, no. And I think that's why so many people, you're going to find a lot of pushback from people like me and others who have seen that and who recognize that that's happening. And so, like I told you, I think in January, I will side eye you. I like you as a person, but as a politician, I don't trust any politician.
No.
And I think that should be like this. I think, we've gotten to a point right now where we have this kind of celebrity culture around politicians. Yes. And I call them celebriticians. And that's a really unhealthy relationship to have with politicians and elected officials. There's absolutely no reason why we should ever be, engaging in a cult of personality around politics.
So I'll tell you what someone told me today, right? I'm doing call time, which is rough, doing call time when you're progressive. And then everyone's like, I'm not donating to any more progressives. All you do is disappoint. It's very difficult, right? And I'm like, well, I understand you, but I also need money to win. So it's difficult. Anyway, so someone tells me, said, oh, you're running against Frederica Wilson? No way. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. Everyone knows her hats. They love her hats.
Her hats.
I said, I'm so sorry. What? Oh, she's a staple in this community. But you've only told me that you love her hats. And that's when I realized people do not care about what their politicians are doing for them by any means. If they know them, they love them, they become celebrities. I mean, my opponent has a Netflix special on her hats. I'm not kidding. Like what are we really doing?
Oh.
So this is what I'm up against. They're like, oh,
this is what we're all up against. This is what we're all up against because, in the system that we currently have, everything is completely rigged. We have this cult of personality. And you're right. It is like, it doesn't even matter. Most people don't know anything about voting records. I mean, we saw that with Bernie Sanders. Most Bernie Sanders supporters don't know shit about his actual record. Like they know the key talking points, the kind of mythology that he created around himself, but they don't know that he voted for regime change in Iraq under Bill Clinton twice. They don't know that he, had anti-war protesters arrested from his office. They don't know that he, wants to have Afeni Shakur extradited back to the United States. They don't know. I mean, there's so many of these things that like he claimed to be anti-imperialist and all this stuff. And listen, is he better than most? I mean, maybe. I think that's still debatable. But most Bernie Sanders supporters didn't really, because I supported Bernie Sanders in 2016, but I did so knowing who he was. And knowing that he wasn't going to be like, I thought this might be our last chance to just push things back a little bit before we head over the cliff. Like 2016, I think, was really our last shot at using electoral politics as any kind of like change maker. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And once we passed that and nothing happened, and he did nothing to stand up against the corruption in the party, despite the fact that WikiLeaks handed him on a silver platter everything that he needed to contest that election, and fight for the people that fought for him. Once that happened, I was done. I guess that's not fair, because I did donate to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2018, and I supported her very tepidly. People are amazed to hear that, because I'm so tough on her now. Yes, I donated to her campaign.
As you should be. If I pay for a service, I want that service. If I go to a restaurant, I'm gonna pay for the service, but I want the service.
Yes.
You thought that you were getting, a 5-course meal, right?
Right.
And so you paid for your 5-course meal, and what did you get?
Like a buffet at Shoney's.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and listen, I would have settled for like just a solid, nice dinner. Like I don't need like a 5. And that's terrible, because we deserve a 5-course meal. But I would have settled for even just like a midway point, because I get, like, I'm not an idiot. I know that there has to be some compromise, and if you are attempting to work within the system, there are going to be some concessions that you're going to have to make. Just at a pragmatic level. I get that, but there's a way that you can do that and still uphold the things that you claim to be fighting for. And still, I mean, we have progressives in Congress right now. Pramila Jayapal, who wrote the Medicare for All bill that is currently up. She's out there talking about expansion for health, or for Medicare. Yeah. What is happening? That's not okay in any universe. That's not okay. Again, this is a huge issue. It's healthcare. And, we can have a debate over what kind of Medicare for all we're going to have, because there is a danger with a Medicare for all bill that they always find a way to corrupt it and make it, beneficial to the 1%. So we have to be very mindful of the bill that does get passed, and we need to make sure that we're reading it and we understand what's happening, because they will try to screw us over, obviously. But it's healthcare. It's not a game. Like, these are people's lives. And then we have Pramila Jayapal talking about expansion and just dropping it to 60. That's an insult. Hillary Clinton went lower than that. Hillary Clinton said 55, and it should be 0. This shouldn't be up for debate. It shouldn't be up for debate. It's so depressing. And then we have people who are still defending the squad and all. What is happening? I don't understand. And I don't know, I honestly don't know how you feel about the squad. And I don't want to put you on the spot because you're running for office.
It's like, what if I have to work with them? But
still, you should be able to criticize them and then still work
absolutely.
With them.
I believe in holding everyone accountable, even myself. So this is my thing. You do not get these chances again. In our lifetime, I hope to God not, we will never have a pandemic like this.
Right?
Right? Like, you will never have the chance to almost oust, Nancy Pelosi. You don't get these chance again. And so when we talk about monumental, times in history where something just completely shifted and changed everything for the American people, we talk about these never again moments. Like, you will never have this again. Take the risk, do what's right, even if it hurts.
Yes.
Right? Even if they don't put you in the committee that you want for your own personal career path or whatever the case is. It's not about you. And that's what we forget. Well, I say we, but I just say that's what,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's not about us. It's about the people. We are so far from that in politics. It is not about the people at all. I fight on a city level as well as on national level. I go to commissioner meetings within Miami-Dade. I'm fighting for affordable housing. It is an affordable housing program. Okay. Right now, the cost of the affordable houses are $205,000. They want to raise the prices to $300,000 because the developers, they can't build a house and sell it for $205,000, right? But it's the affordable housing program. So I go there, I speak up. Everybody's looking at me like, oh, I can't believe. So the commissioner comes up to me and he's like, how dare you insist that I'm not putting the people first? You're not. Number one, you're a realtor. Okay. And number two, you're telling me that the construction companies or the developers are more important to you because they can't then build a townhouse. There's other options, but no one has the income to get approved for a 300,000 affordable house. So that's when I realized nobody cares. Not on a city level, not on a state level, not on a national level. Nobody cares. It's all about business. We are business as usual. That's it. People are business. How can I make money off of these people? Mm-hmm. What can I do to make money off of these people? This is not how life's supposed to be.
Oh, isn't it depressing that this is how we've arranged our society and that we've monetized humanity, like just humanity, basic humanity? Yeah. It's really, it makes me really frustrated because to me, it seems like such a common sense thing. Why is it weird for me to think that the end game should be that we take care of everybody? Yeah. Like I'm called like a crazy commie hippie because I think that everybody's basic needs should be met. Like I'm not asking for everybody to have like a mansion in Beverly Hills or what, but I think that in the year 2021 in the United States of America, we can ensure that everybody's basic needs are met. I think that we could probably figure that out as a country. And I don't know why that's crazy.
I was told we were supposed to be living like the Jetsons. What happened to that?
I want my flying car.
I want my flying car. It is frustrating. And it's, it gives me hope, though, because I realize that if I'm ever going to take a risk, I'm going to do it now. To expose everything, for people to see that there is someone on their side. I'm like, you know what, Christine, this is the best time for you to run. Do it now. What comes out of it? I hope I win. I would love to win. I would love to win and shake things up. But at the very least, people know that somebody's out there fighting for them because no one else is. I don't care with the picture that they paint on Channel 7 News. None of that matters. Whatever you see, these are photo ops. These people do not care about you. Mm-hmm. I think you liked it. I put on Twitter, like, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
I love that song.
Why is Michael Jackson speaking truth to us from the grave?
Right. Honestly, that song changed me. Like that came out when I was like a kid. And that was because I love music. And there are certain songs that like will like kind of shift your consciousness. And that was one of them, honestly. But you're so right. And listen, like, this is why I don't like get mad at anybody who chooses to like run within the system. Because I feel like if you do it in a way, kind of like you're doing or Shahid Buttar is doing, because you're using it, basically you're just using it as a platform. You're pushing for progressive issues. You're speaking for the people. And, if you win, or if you lose, okay, then at least you use your platform in that way. And you've, in your communities, you've caused some awareness, right? Yeah. But and if you win, best believe I'll be on your ass.
Yes, but that's what I want you to do. Yeah. I tell everybody. So I'm, hello, I was the one in the middle of an Airbnb praying for Julian Assange. I'm a Christian woman. Everybody knows it. I am a woman of faith. I go in on some Jesus, and that's fine. I'm always open for debate about that. I don't judge anybody's faith, and I don't want anyone to judge mine. It's like I'm cool with everybody. But one thing I did learn from my faith is accountability. I even in my faith, I have accountability partners. People hold me accountable on a regular basis. I have a group of women that are like, okay, Christine, did you do this? Did you do this? Wait, weren't you supposed to do that? We literally hold each other accountable. It's a thing, right? So I'm already used to it in my daily life. I need you to hold me accountable. I need you to keep me grounded. Why wouldn't I want you to do that? Why wouldn't I want you to show me who I am? Like, wait, Christine, remember you came on my show and you said you were going to do this and you're not doing it. What am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to say, you're right. You're right.
And I will totally do that to you.
Yeah. And I will tell you that you're right. I will tell you that you're right.
Yeah. What do you think? But what do you make though? Because I am constantly demonized for criticism. And listen, I get that I go hard. Like, I'm not denying that I'm aggressive. I go hard. It's because I'm pissed off, and justifiably so. I'm sick of seeing my neighbors suffer. I'm sick of seeing people suffering. It's unnecessary. It's 100% unnecessary. We could do the things right now to alleviate so much of what's happening to people. And it's frustrating that we, like, not even progressives are fighting for the things that could do that. But you know what? I don't understand why it's like bad for people who want to hold politicians accountable. You're right. If you get elected, that what people I think are forgetting that progressives are under or just politicians, people who get elected to office, there's an immense amount of pressure in DC to conform. You have lobbyists coming at you. You have, the party leadership coming at you. You have, there's a whole host of stuff in your face constantly trying to get you to conform to the corruption. And so we have to put equal pressure on them from the outside, at least equal pressure, to keep their minds right. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
But people don't like that.
It's even like my kids, there's so many things that are trying to influence them from I don't know what these kids watch some of the time. I try to control, they're 5 and 3, right? But they just find these shows on Netflix. I'm like, what's going on? And so my kid will say something one day. I'm like, wow, where did you get that? Where did you learn? Like, geez, mom, when did we start saying geez? So you've got these outside influences. I have to counteract that. I have to put pressure on my kids and say, wait a minute, no, that you're not going to behave this way. You're not going to act this way. Our lives are full of 2 different influences, right? Pulling at us, tugging at us all the time. So if we just say, oh, give them some time, let them get acclimated, this isn't that, all you're doing is leaving more room for a certain set of influences to take a hold of them. You've got to keep the pressure. It keeps the balance. That is our job. That's why I say we've got to hold them accountable. Absolutely.
And that, to me, that's really offensive too. It's like you're infantilizing them. These are grown ass educated women, men too. Yeah, the squad is mostly women, so I default to that. But I think the original squad is all women, and then you have like kind of the add-ons. But yeah, these are grown ass, highly educated individuals who are not dumb. It's not like they don't know what's happening. It's not like they don't know what they were getting into. Come on, AOC intern for Ted Kennedy. You think she doesn't know what's happening around her? Of course she does. Stop. Like, to me, that's offensive. Like, you're minimizing her intelligence level, and that's not to say that I don't know her, so it's not to say she's like super smart, but she was smart enough to get elected to office. You have to have a certain level of intelligence for that. So she's educated, so stop pretending like she doesn't know, or like, oh, we have to give her time. No, people don't have time. They don't have time.
Stop letting politicians make you believe that we need 10 years to roll something out, or that we need, by the time your children are 30, then they'll have what we've been fighting for. It can happen now. Look at the things that are happening now. We have the military industrial complex getting enormous amounts of money now. Like,
at the drop of a hat. There's no discussion. Like that. There's no conversation. There's no, how are we going to pay for it? It's like, boom, done. No question. You need $25 billion more? You got it, homie. No problem.
A pandemic happens, and all of a sudden we've got like trillions of dollars that we can just drop, right?
To just give away to big business. That didn't go to the people. That went to the upper 1%. That was the largest, the CARES Act, largest transfer of wealth ever in human history. And we had that, boom, like that. No questions.
Possible. The only difference is the pressure. That's it. The only difference in what happens now and what happens later is who's putting pressure on the politicians. That's
we don't have money. Like, we don't, we do collectively. Like, obviously we look at what we were able to do for Bernie Sanders campaigns. And I think Dontel from Unapologetic on YouTube said that progressives have like $270 million over the past 4 years or something. We've dumped into candidates as a collective and gotten really nothing for it. So I guess we do have the money, but what we really have is the numbers. We have, if we actually mass mobilize, and if we actually started running legitimate legitimate pressure campaigns like Force the Vote, or like, I mean, the Free Assange movement, or like anything, you know, or the March for Medicare for All, if we started doing those, that's, to me, that's where effort is going to be most beneficial, because that's how it's always been. Every time we've ever gotten anything in history, it's been because of direct action and pressure from the people. That's how we get everything.
I would love, like, last election cycle, I raised like 30,000, but that was really difficult, right? But I always said, I wish I could just run a campaign like underground. Like, you don't even see, I don't even need to raise a whole bunch of money, but you don't see what's happening on the ground, and I'm just grabbing a whole bunch of people, and all of a sudden election day comes and we've got just a massive turnout, right? Because at the end of the day, it didn't need to be about the money, it's about the votes.
Yeah, no.
Getting people out to vote. I need to knock on your door. Last election cycle, I knocked on 10,000 doors. 10,000 doors, I got like 13,000 votes, which is crazy. You'll appreciate this. I had 13,000 votes on election night, right? 2 days later, they changed it to 10,000 votes.
Of course they did. That's what I mean.
But I got a screenshot of the 13,000. So
yeah, no, that's why electoral politics, I mean, the Convo Couch has done unbelievable work on election integrity, and and they get shit on constantly because of it, because, and it's all about 2020. They've been covering election integrity since Bernie Sanders got screwed in 2016. But people are constantly going after them for doing this, because they say, oh, well, you think that 2020 was rigged for Trump. No, they think that our elections are garbage, and they're absolutely right. We have unaccountable elections. There's proprietary software. We can't run a legitimate audit on any of these machines. Then people wonder why our elections consistently rank dead last amongst Western democracies for election integrity. It's because our elections are crap. And that's why it's like, I don't know. I mean, again, even if you were, able to run in the Democratic Party and, maybe they will screw you over. They will, they've done it before. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has done it. She did it to Tim Ganova. We saw that there was videos of people taking boxes of ballots and putting them in a U-Haul. I mean, and we don't know what that was necessarily, but that's not a good look. And the fact that it's just, come on.
Let me tell you what is a big thing in South Florida: ballot harvesting. It is, and nobody talks about it, but it is the Democratic Party that engages in it, right? But the way they do, everybody knows who does it, right? Everyone knows who the ballot harvesters are, but nobody says anything because they all want it done for themselves, right? And then on top of that, they know that Republicans are doing it too. So they feel that no one's going to tell on anybody because everyone's benefiting from it. My opponent got, I think it was like 68,000 votes in the primary, right? I didn't run in the primary because I was non-party. I ran in the general election, but I was watching the primary. I have access to all the voter files, voter data, and all that stuff. There was 64,000 vote by mail registered, right? The chances of every single person voting and then an additional 4,000? Come on.
It's totally fine. It's legit.
But you know what? I said, this is the game that they play, and they all have each other's back. That's why it's so important for me. Like, I started early. I lost in November. I went right back in December, started raising money, doing what I have to do. I have to start early. The only way to beat them at their own tricks is to work 10 times harder. I have to work 10 times harder.
Yeah. No, it's so far gone. It's just so far gone. It's really, and I don't even know how it got this bad. I mean, I think it's always been bad. I don't know that we've ever really had a legitimate election in this country. But it's really over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, 20 years or so, it's really just gotten so bad. And I mean, especially since Citizens United and just the endless money, that game over, that just corrupted everything to almost an irredeemable place. I mean, I don't know how we come back from that other than, tearing it down and starting all over again.
No, we need a revolution.
We do. And when I say that, like, we really need like a revolution. And what I mean by revolution is we need people to come together and stop letting them divide you. That's exactly how they maintain power and control. That is they want to, they would much rather keep us divided. And, I think they'd rather facilitate a civil war, because that means they get to avoid the class war. Yeah. And, that's, people are falling for it. And it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Their messaging is so on point, right? So it's like, the way that they do it and the way that they say things, it's like, no, we are doing everything that we can. I am working tirelessly. But you're at home. But people are getting evicted. But you're working tirelessly. Oh my goodness, my congresswoman is working tirelessly. It's the messaging. And then you start regurgitating the same stuff that they're giving you. And it's so on point, right? They have the money to put the right branding and the right messaging out there. So our community, we still got work to do. People are still hungry and they're still without homes, and we still have work to do. Okay, but you've been in office for over a decade. You haven't been able to get me a home or a job or food in
nothing.
Over 10 years. But in 2 years, you're going to do it.
Right?
You got it. Come on. Where's our common sense, people?
That's what's really frustrating. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think a lot of people have given up. I mean, look at our voter turnout. People have just given up. They don't care. They don't care. They know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who gets elected. They're all owned and operated by the same people. People just do not care. But I also think it's a little bit of, I think people are just like, those who are still engaged, I think they're just desperate. They're desperate for a win. They're desperate. Like, I think a lot of people really want to believe that somebody's fighting for them. And I think that's why they latch onto these politicians and like really, dig in and like really, I think that's why they fight so fervently for them. I don't necessarily think that these are like bad people who get mad at me for going at the squad. I just think that they're desperate. They really, and some of them are just really out of touch too. I think that's probably fair. But it's really difficult for me to watch so much time, money, and effort going into getting these people elected. And then so much division is caused because people want to defend them. And we're not getting anything for it. I keep asking, what have they produced for you? Like one thing, just give me one thing. And, I know people immediately, the eviction moratorium will come up. That is such a cop out. Like, that was, to me, that was a disgusting PR move. They waited until the last minute. Everybody knew that was coming up, and to wait until the last minute when people are like, and it's not like, I live in Columbus, Ohio. A court or a judge ruled in Columbus, Ohio that Franklin County is not going to observe it. Doesn't apply. People are still getting evicted. And not only are they still getting evicted, but the squad they went in there like, oh, can we get an extension, please? Can we get an extension? What happened to cancel the rent? Where did that go? Like, that's what people need right now. We're in the middle of an economic crisis. We're in the middle, like, people, whatever you think of COVID, it has caused chaos, and people have lost their jobs. They can't work. They're losing their homes.
One of my volunteers, she was late a lot during the pandemic with her rent, but she always scraped it up and paid it, right? They chose not to renew her lease. They chose, and they said, if you really want to come back, we're doubling the price. So now they're charging her $3,100 for a 1-bedroom apartment. And it's like, this shouldn't even be legal.
Yeah.
Like, who is out here allowing this stuff? We have families. There was a family of 5 that was evicted here. I thought we extended the moratorium. No. A family of 5. They were evicted this past week. What's going? I mean, you're not really doing anything. You're not doing anything, and people are suffering because of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm frustrated. I don't want to be like, oh, the angry Black woman, but I am like, I'm angry. I'm legitimately angry because every time
we should be.
I turn on the TV or open up my phone, I see there's another tragedy happening. Especially this week has been very hard for me and my family and our district. Like, I feel like Haiti can't get a break, right? So here I am. I'm worried about family and friends and worried about Haiti. And now I have to worry about, will the money that gets raised here in the States actually get to the people in the country that need it? I shouldn't have to worry about that.
Right.
If you haven't noticed, I have not posted where anyone can donate to help Haiti. People are like, Christine, where can we help Haiti? I don't trust anybody.
Yeah. Pasta and Fee talked about on their show, I think earlier today, that I'm not going to remember the name of the account, but there was a Twitter account who has been posting from Haiti, and they recommended that we follow it. But she said maybe check there and see if they know somebody like on the ground that we can donate to. But even then, the government is so corrupt.
A bunch of advocates in the area, we got together on Sunday night and had a big meeting, and we said, okay, this person's going to get supplies, and the consensus was, wait a minute, no. If anyone is going to get anything for Haiti, they need to buy it in Haiti. They need to buy it in Haiti. Why can't we use this opportunity to grow their economy? They have the things that we need. Haiti seems poor on CNN. Yeah. Haiti is not poor in real life. Go to Haiti. It's rich. It's full of love and family and atmosphere. And they have feminine hygiene products. They have a toothbrush and toothpaste. They have basic needs. There are small businesses that would love your business. Mm-hmm. And so we decided, why don't we make a list of small businesses that have like an online or like an online presence, something that we can donate directly to them so they can give those items to the people. And remember, when people say, oh, there was an earthquake in Haiti, you don't realize how big the island is. It happened in a certain area. There's surrounding areas that we can pay them on the ground to bring stuff into the city. Mm-hmm. So,
that's such a good point. If you figure out something, please let me know, because I will blast the shit out of that on Twitter. I will donate to that, because I mean, I always feel extremely helpless when something like this happens, whether it's Haiti or whether it's Palestine or whatever, because you don't, it's impossible to find somewhere where you can legitimately help without there being shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? And so if you figure something out, seriously, I would 100% donate to that. Yeah. This is not the first time that Haiti's been screwed over.
No, it's not. And you know what? Millions of dollars got poured into Haiti and no one saw any of it in 2010. Imagine what that could have done.
Right.
If those millions of dollars had gotten into the people's hands. So this time around, I'm saying, if you want to help Haiti, buy in Haiti. Build their economy. $1 US is like $96 for them. I'm thinking, oh, okay, this time it's going to be different. It's not.
Right.
The only way for things to be different is for us to say, we're not doing this anymore. What we want the money in the people's hands. They deserve it. Their houses they are homeless right now, and they are hungry. They need the money. It goes to them.
Yeah. I mean, that's commonsensical, and it's like this disaster capitalism, right? I mean, every time whether it's a natural disaster like an earthquake or a hurricane or whatever, or if it's any number of things, a flood or a mass shooting or whatever, it's this disaster capitalism, and it's destroying entire countries, really. I mean, if you look at Puerto Rico, for example, is another good example. I think that we need to start focusing more on getting money to the individuals in the countries rather than, the NGOs or the Red Cross or whatever. Because obviously those organizations, sure, they do some good work, but they're also extremely corrupted. And it's more often than not that the help that you think is going to be going to the people, it doesn't actually get to the people. It goes in some director's pocket,
or they're paying their employees to get deployed over to like a Haiti or whatever. But why wouldn't you there's people on the ground that were not affected by the earthquake. Why can't you pay them a daily rate to go in and remove debris?
Right.
Do we need to deploy people? There's people there. So it's like the money's all staying within. Like, don't use a tragedy to then be on the come up and then think that you're offering assistance. But these people need money. We all need money. Number one thing people need is money. Obviously, people need to live, but people need money. And
you need money to live.
You need money to live. I had another point, but I can't remember what it was. I'm just like going and
I
going and
know
going.
that's what this show's for. And honestly, there's times that like I like completely lose and I just go off on some other weird tangent and my brain is like all in 574 different directions. So it's fine. Don't if
Oh,
you're oh
yes.
okay.
You mentioned Puerto Rico. So my husband is Puerto Rican. That's where the Olivo comes from. And my mother-in-law has been here for almost like 2 months just visiting, but she can't find work in Puerto Rico. Like she can't. And they take the pandemic extremely seriously. If they say it's curfew, it is curfew. And they will arrest you. Good luck, not making curfew.
Right.
And it's hard to find a job. It's hard to find anything there. So, and this is supposed to be a US territory. Like, come on.
Yeah.
How come we're not taking care of our people?
Because we're blowing up third world countries. We're blowing up brown people in the global south or the Middle East. That's what we're spending our money on. We're not, that's what's so frustrating is that our society is set up so that it's like normalized that grown ass adults think that blowing things up to solve problems and for profit is like the smart thing and letting our own people suffer and starve and all of that. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so weird. It's like we're led by corruption and greed. Really, we're controlled by psychopaths. And I don't know how we fix that, honestly. Like that's such a
I don't know either. It's a little scary. It's a little scary that a man like Julian Assange can be literally, being tortured in a prison somewhere for exposing crimes, but the people that committed them are out free. Life is good. They get to raise their families,
Yeah.
But whistleblowers are the enemy. Really?
And we've done that forever. Humanity's done that forever. We always punish our truth tellers. It's really unfortunate. And it's really frustrating. I mean, obviously this is what I do. So I could go on and on and on about it, but you have somebody like Julian Assange, who a lot of people right now claim to care about Afghanistan, right? They're really like, oh, okay. Well, Julian Assange showed us 11 years ago that war was ridiculously unwinnable and unjust and illegitimate and underfunded and under-resourced and not planned well. And, civilians were getting, like, he exposed all this 11 years ago and y'all still aren't fighting for him? Seriously? What?
I mean, what's going on right now is just, it is a huge error on the US's part, because how do you say, all right, we're just going to up and leave, peace out, and not have any plan? Nothing put in place to do so?
After 20 years.
They have been relying on you for 2 decades and you just want to peace out. That is so irresponsible. And what kind of commander-in-chief does something like that?
Right. Like, listen, we should absolutely be getting out of there. It's long overdue.
I agree.
But to just leave like interpreters and American citizens on that's insane. We've had 2 and people are like, first it was, well, we can't pull out too fast, whatever. And now Joe Biden's like, oh, we got to pull out right now. Like, right. And we've had, again, 2 decades to get our shit in order and get out of there. This isn't it's unbelievable. But people want to cheer Joe Biden. And again, we should definitely be getting out of there. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be getting out of there or that leaving Afghanistan is a bad thing, but you don't praise Joe Biden for doing that's like, praising a serial killer for, not killing his next victim. He's already killed 24 people, but he decided not to kill somebody tonight. So you thank him for that. That's ridiculous. This dude is a huge part of the reason why we're in Afghanistan in the first place.
It's the branding. It's the messaging. I told you, they're on point with it. They know how to get to people. They know how to make people see things a certain way. Even your algorithms, they know what you're looking for. They know the right message to send directly into your social media feed. Like, they are so smart, and people are not, I'm not going to say that people are not intelligent. It's that some people don't even realize it. It's so slick the way that they do it. They don't realize that they're being brainwashed.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of there's been a rash this week in specific about Julian Assange from the left. Like, there's like a whole contingent of leftists who are like really anti-Assange and just cannot stand any Assange activists. And they're like really mad at me. They're, oh, we're tired of seeing free Assange on our timeline. are you kidding me? Like what? But I think a lot of this, and I talk about this a lot because when we started Facts on the Ground, which is my other show with Jesse Zerwell, one of the big things that we wanted to do was try to make connections whenever possible, because a lot of these issues people think happen in a vacuum, and everything's connected. Literally everything is connected. And so a lot of people don't recognize that what's happening to Julian Assange impacts almost, I would say, everything that else that we're facing. Like all of the other fights that we're facing, you just spoke about propaganda and how it's so effective. That is connected to what's happening to Julian Assange. They're seeking global control, global jurisdiction over information and journalism. They want to control everything that you see, hear, read, think, know. And that's really scary. That's really scary.
It's unconstitutional.
Yes.
Like, did we forget about the Constitution? I'm just trying to figure out when we started writing our own stuff. Like, we just start rewriting it. No amendments, no nothing. Just in your mind. Like, oh no, that's not this. That's not that. First of all, no one even knows what an espionage is. You guys like Julian Assange is a whistleblower.
He's a publisher more than anything. I don't know that. I mean, maybe he's a whistleblower, but he's a journalist and a publisher, and that's what makes his case so unique. Because people got. I got into it with people the other day because they were like, well, why is this like a unique threat to press freedom? Because it's the first time that a journalist will be charged under the Espionage Act. That sets a precedent moving forward. It's already had a really damaging chilling effect on journalism as a whole.
Oh yeah.
But that's it. That's it. Game over. The First Amendment's done if we allow him to be extradited and charged in the Eastern District Court of Virginia. It's over. It is over. And it's really dangerous. I don't think people recognize, and I get really frustrated with myself because I can't find the words to make people understand. And I get that, like, I'm not, this is like a very, what's the word? Self-indulgent rant I'm about to go on, but it's like, this has been a rough week just for me personally, on this front, getting attacked from all angles. But it's, I don't know how to get people to recognize how dangerous this is. And it's like, it's one of those things that, you feel like you're yelling into the void, and it's so, I don't know. I guess frustration isn't even the right word for it, but it's just really, irritating and frustrating and, depressing that there are grown adults who don't understand, how free press freedom of speech, that affects our ability to organize effectively. I mean, if you can't communicate, and if the methods of communication are under state control, essentially under complete state control, how are we going to effectively organize to fight for anything else that we care about? That's it. We can't. And that's why, and so many people don't get how it's connected to imperialism. Some people will say that, oh, well, you're only fighting for him because he's a white guy. But I think what a lot of people fail to see about Julian Assange is that he has exposed more crimes against Black and brown people the world over than anybody else on planet Earth. But this isn't just about, the United States, although he has exposed a ton of environmental crimes and corporate crimes that are being committed against, communities of color. But Jesus Christ, how many war crimes does the dude have to expose And
the thing is how are we supposed to hold our government accountable? Whenever people talk to me about it, oh, why are you supporting Julian Assange? Well, so do you think that the government should be able to get away with everything? Like, that's what you think? Like, you really think that they're above the law? They created the law. They're not above it. They have to adhere to it. Period. So I just don't understand. Oh, he's a criminal. He's this. Okay, tell me, what crime did he commit? I want to know, what crime did he commit?
I would like to know that too.
Nobody can answer it.
No.
You have to ask people those questions, and then they stumble and they try to figure things out, and you're listening to the wrong message. They've fallen into some sort of propaganda themselves.
Yes.
I tell everyone, read, research, do your own homework.
Mm-hmm.
Stop listening to what everyone else is telling you. Do your own homework, and then tell me where you stand. As a human being, tell me where you stand.
Yeah, well, the smear campaign against Julian Assange has been extremely sophisticated, and it's gone on for over a decade now. I mean, they've really done a really a really fantastic job of dehumanizing him. They've essentially been able to create like a comic book villain out of this dude. And again, I don't know Julian Assange. I've never met Julian Assange. I have no idea. He could be the biggest asshole on the planet. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that matters, because what's happening to him is wrong, period. And a lot of people will, you know, resort back to, oh, well, he's a rapist or whatever. First of all, no, he's not. I would highly recommend people read Nils Melzer or listen to Nils Melzer. He's done an extensive investigation into that case. He speaks fluent Swedish, so he was able to examine the court documentation. He's very thoroughly debunked those charges. Or that accusation. There were no charges, those accusations. But, you know, they always resort back to that, but that has nothing to do, or they'll say, well, he got Trump elected. That has nothing to do with why he's being charged. So often why he's in court, why he's being persecuted is completely lost because of Trump or because whatever distraction that they throw at it. And it has nothing to do with why he is being charged right now for exposing war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Chelsea Manning leaks of 2010. And there's no question about it that was in the public interest. It was, and, you know, no, he didn't put anybody's life in danger. The United States government has admitted in court that that's not the case. But you know, they're just so good at regurgitating the lies and the smears over and over and over again until people just believe it. And they don't take the time to do their own independent research. You know, they heard Rachel Maddow say it, so it must be true. And it's really sad and dangerous, but that really just speaks again to how sophisticated and effective the propaganda is in this country, which again is why I do what I do, because it is like such a big deal that it really is so impactful for everything else that we're facing.
And we can't just sit back and allow people to have this misinformation. Like, we have to try. Anyone, anyone with the heart is going to want to try to get people to make better decisions on politicians, better decisions on just life in general by providing them with the right, accurate information.
Yeah, then that's so important to fight for anything. I mean, healthcare is a great example. Wendell Potter is a whistleblower who essentially wrote propaganda, misinforming the American public against or about the Canadian healthcare system. And, you know, that was a very effective tool in getting people confused about healthcare and universal healthcare. And that's a huge part of the reason why we don't have it. And that it's the same across the board. They lie to us. They really, not only do they get us to vote against our own interests, they get us to think against our own interests. Do you know what I'm saying? And they're very good at doing that. And the only way that we can fight back against that is if we can combat their propaganda. We can't do that without a First Amendment. We can't. It just doesn't work that way.
I wish there was more of us than them.
Yeah. But I think it's growing. I mean, maybe that's just me being like really naively hopeful, but it feels like it's growing.
That's great. That's great.
I'm not usually a hopeful.
I know. I was like, oh, that's great. I love it.
No, but like today, today I had like a fuck it day. You know what I mean? Where I like for the past week or whatever, I've just been getting hammered from every angle imaginable. And I'm just like, fuck it. I don't even know why I care anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like all these people. I think it's really easy to get bogged down in the bullshit and like all of the criticisms and stuff like that. And here's the thing. I know who I am. I know who I like, what I'm fighting for, and I'm comfortable with that. And so I'm open to like constructive criticism and all of that. Absolutely. But I'm like, it's going to take a lot more than some trolls to dissuade me. You know what I mean? Like but there's a lot of that. There's that. And that's exactly what they're meant to do, I think.
I know. I actually got messages like, don't go on her show. Don't go.
I'm sure you did.
She's gonna turn on you. I'm like, I can handle myself. I can
She's
handle
gonna turn on you.
myself. And if Misty turns on me, then I did something wrong. Like,
why would I turn on you though? Like we agree on most things. Like we have a disagreement about electoral politics. Absolutely. We talked about that in January. I told you straight up at the Airbnb that I'm always going to side eye you as a politician. Like that's a thing. Yeah. Like it's fine. Like I've been able to have, conversations with Shahid Buttar. We have the same disagreement. And every time I talk to him, we have like a little spat about it. But I still love him. Like he's an amazing person. He's an activist. Like I love people who come. I've only met him like I'm meeting you here now. I've never met him in person. But I think I've interviewed him twice, maybe. But yeah, like I find him fascinating. And yeah, sure, we have a disagreement about tactics, but I'm okay with that. Like I don't mind again, I preach this all the time. I'm okay with having conversations with people that I don't agree with. I'm okay with that. Like
Me
I'm a
too.
big girl. I can have those conversations. We can have like a grown-up conversation, and we can find the things that we agree on. Maybe we do get into a fight. Maybe we have a spat. Maybe there's something that like we get heated about. That's okay too. Like that's part of
Yeah.
it. There's going to
Yeah.
be some uncomfortable conversations that need to be had in this movement. That's
But that's how you grow. And that's
yeah.
why I keep like, everyone's like, oh, you should defriend all your Republican friends. I said, no. First of
No.
all, a lot of them are my friends since I was a little girl. I'm not just getting rid of my friends. But that's how I grow. Like some of my Republican friends will challenge me, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back and figure something out, you know? So yeah, I'm all about growth, and I don't think everything needs to be perfect, right? So
No, and it's really frustrating to watch the leftist movement isolate themselves like that because you're never going to get anything done, fam. Like you're never
never.
the whole point of politics is to convince people that your ideas are superior. And to bring them on board and to get those things accomplished. But there's this whole group of leftists I hate labels like leftists. I don't know
Yeah,
what that
me too.
means. But there's this whole group of people. What,
Speak
Sleepy?
clear, it's Twitter left. Like the
Yes.
Twitter left thinks
Oh,
they
it just
fucking get
pops
what they
up.
want. It's
Yeah.
like 30,000 fucking people. I'm like, you need a lot more people than that.
Yeah.
Like I don't. This is why I don't even ask my friends who they vote for. I don't give
Right.
a fuck. If
Yeah.
I'd like people, I'm gonna be friends with them. Go eat a dick if you have a problem with that.
Right.
That's Sleepy's rant for the show.
I love Sleepy's rants. I wish you would jump in more with Sleepy rants because it's always a good time. But yeah, you're right, dude. It's I say this all the time. I live in small town Ohio. I'm surrounded by Trump voters. Like there's a guy who lives maybe like a quarter mile down the street who still has a giant ass Trump 2020 sign that he painted himself. Like it's on his fence. I live up like kind of in the country. And it's like this giant ass sign that he like had to have spent like an entire weekend painting himself. It's still hanging on his fence right now. But they're not like that doesn't just disqualify them from like humanity. They're not bad people. They're just propagandized against the wrong things and the wrong people. That's it. Everybody's like, we're all the United States. Steve Poikonen says it all the time. The United States is the most propagandized country on earth. And he's absolutely right. And some of us are just victims of different propaganda. And I include myself in that. Like, I know that I speak very loudly against propaganda and I fight against propaganda. I'm not immune to it. Like everybody's susceptible to propaganda. It is hitting us from every angle all day long. So yeah, my Trump Trump voting neighbors, they're not bad people. My kids' best friends' parents are Trump voters. They're not bad people. We disagree on politics, absolutely, but they're not terrible people. They're not like irredeemable racists that we can never have a conversation with. Exactly. It's like there's these people that think that anybody to the right of Bernie Sanders is a Nazi. And there's a whole lot of room between Bernie Sanders and actual Nazis.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people in there.
A classmate of mine passed away from cancer recently. And so I went to the funeral and I saw my classmates, the ones that I argue with all the time on Facebook. And they come up to me and they were like, there's no time for politics here. And they just give me a hug and they're like, I miss you. How are you? How's everything going? And I was like, good. And it just felt so good to just be like, it doesn't always have to be about politics. Like we can enjoy each other.
Yeah. I mean, we're all just humans. Nobody has all the right answers. Not one person has. I don't even agree with myself 100% of the time. Like that's a real talk. And I think any grown ass adult would be willing to admit that that's the case. I've changed my mind on things recently. Like I'm constantly evolving and learning new information and hearing things from different angles that I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I mean, like you just said, sometimes somebody like a conservative friend of mine will say something and I'm like, wait, I didn't think about it like that. So I have to go back and reevaluate my position and really like think about things in a different way. And maybe I still come to the same conclusion, but I've been challenged and I'm willing to accept. And again, not perfect. There are times that I get unbelievably defensive and, I have to check myself, but I think we should all be working towards doing that. And you don't have all the answers. And I think that the left isolating themselves into these little groups, like we're never going to get anything done. We're never going to get Medicare for all. We can't even get people to, honestly, girl. Oh, okay. So they asked me to MC the March for Medicare for All, right? In Columbus. And I'm like, okay. And I told Sharif, I'm like, you're going to get pushback on this very much like you did. Don't go on her show. Sharif got tons of pushback. I can't believe you invited her to whatever. But I thought I was so naive. I thought, because I'm used to Assange stuff, which is, pretty difficult issue. It's very controversial. It's very, emotionally driven. It's not easy. But I thought Medicare for all, everybody wants Medicare for all, right? Like, this is going to be so easy. Like, no, it was not so easy. People who claim to be on the left, people who claim to want healthcare, were openly trying to sabotage this event. What is happening? Oh,
I spoke at the one in Orlando. And that one, it was great. It was a pretty good turnout. But I heard there was a lot of infighting, or just not infighting, but people trying to say that, Medicare for all is a sort of cult.
They do the same thing with Assange. I'm a cult leader. I hear it all the time.
It's a cult, and it's like, no, it's
life or death. That's what it is.
Life or death. Isn't that when we're passionate about something, aren't we supposed to organize and mobilize? And isn't that what grassroots is all about? So I don't understand why all of a sudden we're labeling things where. So you're really telling me that you're giving a bad label on me because I'm fighting for healthcare?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly. And these are people, again, who claim to want healthcare. Like, if you ask that, a lot of them have Medicare for all in their Twitter bio, hashtag Medicare for all. They're hashtag activists. And then once somebody, seriously, if you notice, like, every time there's an actual attempt to do something, like, not just talk about it, but do something, all of a sudden it's the most terrible thing ever. And they'll find any and every reason to tear it down and to sabotage it and to talk shit about it. And what is happening? Like, to me, I don't care who is involved. Like, there's a Boogaloo boy involved. I don't care. I don't care. I want healthcare. And if that means I have to work with Boogaloo boys on a superficial level because we both agree on Medicare for all, that doesn't mean you have to go on vacation with these people or, like, be their kid's godmother or godfather. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you have to do is engage in the battle for healthcare together at the same time. Like, I don't care. I really don't.
It's like the civil rights movement, right?
Yeah.
You have all these Black people fighting for basic human rights, and white people come in and it's like, I'm standing right here next to you. I'm with you. I'm an ally. You have Martin Luther King marching over a bridge with the rabbi, and, just everybody joins together. That's what happens for a cause. We may not agree on things on a personal level, but for this cause, we're all in.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. We can have the conversations about things we disagree on another day. But if we agree on this cause that, we're going to have this event for this thing that we all agree on, then let's just come together and fight for the thing that we all agree on, because that's how we get it done. We need the numbers. That's the game.
The Democratic Party, the Republican Party, forget the Democratic Party. They're actually a hot mess. The Republican Party, when they have their mind set on something, they all come together. They don't veer off. No one gets off track. They're all together. Even if they do not believe in it, in what they're fighting for, they still do. It's this crazy loyalty. You want to talk about cult? Now that is a cult.
It's not even like a cult. It's legit solidarity.
Solidarity. Like, we can learn so much from the Republican Party. And people think I'm crazy when I say that. I go, no, you have no idea. We live in a state. Florida's red, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have so much has happened in Florida. We have so many African Americans and Hispanics in Florida. They were able to pass an anti-protest bill in Florida. Why? Because they're like this. Something that doesn't even make sense to anybody, but they passed it. We can learn so much from the Republican Party. When they have their mind set on something, it doesn't matter if we, burn the house down. They're going to do what they want to do. It fits their agenda, and they all move in a collective, and they don't veer off. It's solidarity. We need to come to a point as leftists. I don't like labels either. Actually, I'm happy that you don't like labels, because I don't like. People ask me all the time, what are you? I'm a mom that decided to run for Congress because I don't want my kids to grow up in a world with, like, nothing. Like,
right.
It's just really simple. I was not into politics like this. I was into issues and learning about different things, but I was never like following politics. So I don't know where I fit in. And quite honestly, I don't feel like I fit in anywhere.
I don't want to fit in. I'm
I
not
don't
box
want
shaped.
to fit in.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
want
box shaped. Don't put me in a box. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
There is no one ideology that I agree with. I think there's like little bits and pieces that you can take from everything. And I kind of feel like you're very spiritual. I'm an atheist, but I am also very I'm not like one of those annoying Sam Harris atheists. You know what I mean? I respect, spirituality, and I respect everybody's religious beliefs individually. I think for me, it's more of like the institutionalized religion, I think, is very dangerous. But like there are parts of Catholicism that I agree with. There are parts of Buddhism that I agree with. There are parts, I think that and I find, reading about reading about religion and learning about the different beliefs and all and traditions and all, I think it's very interesting. And I think that there's stuff to be learned from all of that. And I think that it's very much the same with politics. Nobody has it all right. And Julian Assange actually made a really good point too, that all of our political ideologies and all of our fights over these ideologies are bankrupt because we aren't dealing with the truth. Like, we don't even actually know how our world works. So there's no way for us to have disagreements about where we're going because we have no idea where we're at right now. And so, that's why I'm not afraid to talk to people I don't agree with. And
I find I love it. I love learning from other people. And I'm sort of like, almost like a sponge. I don't take everything in. I can sift through, I can filter through some of these conversations, but I love hearing other people's perspective. I love being enlightened. Maybe it comes from the fact that I was not so political. And so this is like kind of a new world for me, even though right now I feel like I know where I stand on issues.
Yeah. So maybe tell people because you come from activism too, which I think is why we get along. But maybe tell people a little bit about like your journey, like how you got to this place, what made you decide to run for office, like what was your activism about, what kind of things do you do? Because you're pretty active in your local community, I know. So
yes. So a lot of people ask me like where my experience comes from, and I tell everyone I lived it. I know what it's like to drop out of college because you have to try to save a house that's going under foreclosure, and watching my mom unemployed sit on the couch like wondering where we're going to get our next meal. I know what it's like to piece pennies together to get diapers for my kids. I've lived so much of what this district suffers through. I've opened a business before and had to shut it down because I didn't know where I was going to make my rent. There's no programs for small businesses, for minority women small businesses. So I've experienced a lot. And so when I really started advocating for anyone was when I became a youth director at my church, and seeing what the kids go through. Now that is a different story. You think that you're going through a lot as an adult. I mean, I've had students that were homeless. I never thought I'd see a homeless teenager before, trying to find this kid a shelter anywhere. I've seen children that were brought here from Haiti. Their parents never applied for citizenship for them, and now they can't even get a job. They've been here since they were 6. Now they're 18, and no one took care of their paperwork. I've had students that were raped. So I joined AmeriCorps, which is like a volunteer program, and started teaching like sex education and going out and doing different events and stuff like that in the community. And that's when I really, said, I want to just get involved in my community. I want to do whatever I can to help as many people as possible. So right now I partner with the food drive twice a week. We feed almost 1,200 families. We deliver, so for the homeless, we deliver meals to the homeless, meals to the elderly. Food insecurity is huge in the area. I go to commission meetings. I am a loudmouth. People call me a firecracker because I go in there. It doesn't matter what issue we're dealing with. All I know is I'm going to say something about it. You're going to know that I'm in the room. And I fight for affordable housing. I led a protest in front of the commissioner's office on affordable housing. I'm literally anywhere that people need me. I have a young mom. She was working at a restaurant. She gave birth. She went on maternity leave, unpaid, could not find any money for rent. Now she's working. She found a job working overnight to try to pay her rent. She has no babysitter. Like these, and she calls me randomly and she's like, "Oh, someone gave me your number because they knew that you can maybe help me." I have no power. I am not the representative or anything, but because I am so deep in the community and getting involved every single day, people are like, "Can she help?" I love going and fighting for people. I went and spoke at the Medicare for All rally in Orlando. I spoke at Force the Vote in DC. I show up. That's it. It's not even about being an advocate or an organizer. It's about showing up. The people need somebody to show up, and I am that person that's just ready and willing to show up. So anyways, so how did I get into running into politics? I started putting videos on Facebook, and I started releasing videos and political videos, just giving my opinion, giving my point of view. And then they were getting like 100,000 views, 200,000 views. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess people kind of like it. And then people are like, you should run for something, right? And I said, oh, no. Maybe I'll just start like a voter registration business or something where I get people like register to vote. And I did start my voter registration, but I never did anything with it because I decided to run. I just felt like registering people to vote wasn't the issue. It was giving them a reason to vote. That's the issue. People are registered. They just don't have a reason. And I felt that if I felt this strongly in my heart about the issues that we're facing, then I had to put my money where my mouth was. And I registered to run. Of course, I registered to run against a well-loved, well-liked incumbent, her and her hats, you know. And I said it didn't matter to me. I understand that she's well-loved and well-liked, but the district is the same now as it was when I was a kid. And I cannot imagine another kid dropping out of college to try and save their parents' house from foreclosure. I don't want that for anybody. I can't imagine another small business having to close their doors because nobody was there to support them. I can't imagine another mother not knowing how she's going to get diapers for her child. Like, I couldn't imagine it. And then I look at my kids. I have a post, right? I only had one son at the time. And it says, I didn't get political until it got personal. And it's me holding my son's hand. And it was like, I look at him and I know that I cannot leave the world the way it is. I can't leave him. That cannot be what I leave for him. I've got to leave something better. So if it's going up against the hat lady, it's going up against the hat lady.
The hat lady.
Because at the end of the day, my community matters. My community comes first. So
the hat lady. That's my favorite. I love that. No, but I 100% agree with you. I mean, I have kids too, and I was never about electoral politics at all. I've never, like in my entire life, I've never thought that was going to be a thing. But in 2008, I had just had my first child, and it changes you. You have you, like all of a sudden there's this life that's completely dependent on you for survival. And it makes you see things differently. And so, I mean, I voted in 2008 for Barack Obama. God, I hate myself for it now. I legitimately hate myself for it now. Terrible decision. I'm just going to blame the fact that I was hormonal from just having had a baby. And I bought into the hope and change. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're actually making progress in this country. We have our first Black president. This is amazing. Like it felt good. Like it felt good to be a part of that movement. Do you know what I'm saying? But it didn't last long. Like, I mean, I would say within like 2 months of him taking office, right about the time the cabinet assignments started coming, the cabinet nominations or appointees started coming out, I was like, oh, okay, I see who you are now. So that didn't last long, but yeah, I mean, it having a kid really changes your perspective on the world. And it really, I mean, prior to that, I had always like, I I've always been more of like a mutual aid person. I ran like a local community group in my local area for 5 years and it started as like, just like this, those like local buy sell trade pages or whatever on Facebook. So I got on one of those, and my kids, like I have 2 kids. We're very lucky and they're very spoiled. And we had like just a ton of toys. Some of them had never been opened, and it was Christmas time. And I thought, I have all this stuff. Maybe I can find like some families who need presents for Christmas, and like, we can find homes for this where it'll actually get used and enjoyed. Right. So I just made like a random post like, hey, I have this stuff. And it snowballed very quickly into like that very first year. I think we adopted, I don't know what else to say, like 15 families for Christmas. And we ended up getting them Christmas presents. And that snowballed into, we would help people pay their utility bills or buy diapers for their kids or whatever. And I did that for 5 years. And it's really rewarding. It's also very demanding.
Yeah.
Ooh, child, it's so demanding. Like it's just a lot because the requests come in way faster than you can ever deal with them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it's worse now than it was then, because I think I ran that from like, I don't know, right about the time my oldest daughter was born. It's like 2008 probably until like, I don't know, 2013 or 14, somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, having a kid really does change everything.
What's interesting of what you said is that you got more requests than you can keep up with. Now, imagine a government that was dealing with those you shouldn't have had to do these
right
things. You know what I mean? Like, you're one person. We've got a whole system that can help, that can handle these things, and yet there's no one to turn to. This is the issue that I have right now with our government. Like, where do people turn to?
There is nowhere.
There's nowhere.
There's no one. There's nowhere. Even the people who proclaim to be on our side are really nowhere to be found most of the time. Or they're actively working against us. So, I mean, that's another really big problem. But yeah, and again, I don't know how to get people to realize, where we're at. Cause I think it's really so much worse than most people are even able to wrap their heads around where we're at right now. There's just so much. I mean, there's so much happening. It's
overwhelming, and you don't know you don't know where to start. Like, so every day I'm supposed to do like some fundraising posts and this and that. And so, my team gets on me. Oh, Christine, you didn't post your fundraiser on Monday. And I said, well, yeah, there was an earthquake in Haiti. Like, I get that I have to do certain things, but sometimes it just feels so insensitive. Like, how can we go on with life as usual? How can we just stop and say, oh, well, I got to raise money today? Like, like there's got to be a time where we actually like say, yo, this is really messed up. Like, things suck right now.
Yes.
But I can't be that. Like, I have to, it's a little overwhelming. It's like, I still have to be the candidate, right? I still got to deliver on certain things, but my heart hurts.
Yeah.
I can't even physically post things. I don't post as much at all because literally I sit in my bed every night wondering, how can this possibly be happening all at once?
Yeah.
And then I hold on to hope. And I think maybe we're being broken down to our bare minimum. Like, maybe we are being broken down so bad that people see the only way is to come together and go up.
Oh, I hope so. But here's the thing. Like, what scares me about that is that it's going to get so much worse for so many people. And I just don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, I thought COVID would wake a lot of people up, and, just the way that it's been handled, and the fact that, I mean, people keep trying to pretend that it's about like protecting us and our health. We can't even get health care. Like, they want to like, do vaccine mandates and all of this stuff. We can't even get health. Like, if it was really about health, we would have had health care. Joe Biden can do that today. Like right now, today, executive order, boom, health care for everybody.
Yep.
And, the fact that they're not doing that, it's just unbelievably frustrating. And it feels so desperate. Like, I just went through like a totally weird emotional, because remember earlier in this conversation, I was like, all optimistic. And now I'm like, we're fucked.
No, I mean, yeah.
No, but that's Sleepy Josh will remember. There's a meme that it's like the little what's it called? Oh, the thing.
Like a pendulum.
Yes, thank you. And it's like having hope, and then we're fucked, and it's like, and it goes back, and that's the activist brain. That's the that is the activist organizer brain is and it's like a consistent shift throughout the day. Like there are times where like multiple times throughout the day, I like go up and down, like something good will happen. Like I just read a story today from Kevin Gostola about a whistleblower, I think in Missouri. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it's Missouri, but who ended up winning his court case, and we won one. Like we won one. Woohoo! You know, like that's good. And then something bad happens where I hear about, you know, something that's terrible in Afghanistan or whatever. And it's like this, it's so, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. There's just so much going on right now. And then I think that that's almost by design because it keeps people very distracted. I think a lot of people just don't have time to pay attention. You know, they have to work 2 or 3 jobs and they have, you know, kids to take to soccer practice and, you know, all of this stuff. And it's hard for people to keep up with everything that's going on in the world. And, you know, I think a little bit of that is by design so that we don't have, again, they don't want us to be educated about what's happening. They want to hide all of their secrets. They want to make sure that nobody knows what's actually going on. They want to be able to do everything as, you know, behind closed doors as possible. Because then we don't fight back. We can't fight back. If we're not educated, if we're not informed about what's actually happening, we can't effectively combat the things that they're doing to us. So, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot for people to deal with. And I think it's a big part of it is I think a lot of Caitlin Johnstone writes beautifully about this. We need like a massive shift in consciousness.
Yes.
We need like a mass awakening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest obstacles to that is for people to achieve that, they have to go through the process of realizing that everything they thought they knew is a lie.
Yes.
And that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to be that change, even knowing that, you know, going in, I will probably be the only one. I will be in an island by myself, right?
If you're going to be legit about it, you will be.
I will be in an island all by myself. And then they'll make my constituents think that I turn my back on them, right?
Mm-hmm. They'll come for you.
They will come for me.
They will.
And all I say is I'm ready.
But listen, I'm telling you, I thoroughly believe this. If that happens, and I truly believe that, like, if AOC or Rashida Tlaib or any one of these people actually stood up and fought back, the people will be with you.
Yeah.
They're hungry for it. They're hungry for it. That's what they want. They want a fighter. They want somebody who's going to legitimately be in their corner.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what I look forward to doing. I remember being a really little girl. So my grandmother used to, everyone that was moving here from Haiti, she would keep them all in the house. So we always had like 9 or 10 people living in our house at all times, right? My grandma was just that person, which is why I believe we need to welcome, you know, the Afghanistan refugees here. I'm like, bring Southern hospitality. We got you, right? But so I remember being a little girl and we had just had new family members move in. And I look up to the sky and I'm just like, I'm a little girl. And I said, God, I want to be able to change the world. Like, I want to do this. I want to take care of people, you know, just even seeing that some people we would have beds that were on the floor in the living room. Like, it didn't matter. We were all together. My grandmother cooked for everyone and she cooked for everyone in the neighborhood. Like, that just made me really want to be a change maker. Just seeing how much, like, we took care of each other, you know? And so this is my opportunity. I've asked for this my entire life. This is my opportunity to be that change maker. And so if I'm going to hold true to who I was as a little girl, I have to stand out. I have to be on the lone island. You don't make change by conforming. You don't.
No.
How can you be a change maker if you're just going with the flow? We don't have time to go with the flow. And I will admit this, when I first started running, I thought, I'm going to be a mediator. I'm going to bring everyone together. We're all going to sit at a table. I'm going to take Republicans to coffee because I'm going to convince them that we really see eye to eye on things, right? And no, that was crazy. That was naive. That was very stupid. I'm gonna stick to what's right.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's all you can do. And it's okay if you want to take Republicans to coffee, but not Republicans that are elected. Like the people who are elected currently, there's no talking to. They're owned. They're owned and operated. They don't make their own decisions.
Mhm.
So there's no that's useless. But if you want to take like Republicans constituents out to coffee, and that's absolutely something that I would 100% say you should be doing. Yeah, but like the reason why I appreciate, and again, I don't like electoral politics is not my thing, but like you said earlier, showing up matters. And you showed up for Force the Vote. You showed up for the Julian Assange protest. You showed up for the March for Medicare for All. And that to me is something. That's not everything, but showing up is part of it. And so, when you showed up to the Assange, everybody was like, yeah, but she's running for, I don't care. She showed up, and that's important. Like that's another person here and that matters because we need those numbers. So, I mean, that's what I appreciate about at least, again, who you are as a person. Like I like you as a person. Again, I will I'll come for you as a politician.
I know.
You know what I mean? And I'm not doing that because it's like when I go at AOC, I don't know her. I've never met her. It's not personal. It's about the fact that she's not doing her job and people are suffering as a result of that. And it's the same way with everybody else in the squad. It's the same way with Bernie Sanders. And we should all be doing that. It's not personal. It's about, again, if you're choosing personality over policy, we have problems.
I have 4 brothers. I tell everybody this. I have 4 brothers. I got beat up growing up. I have thick skin.
Are you the oldest or the youngest?
I'm the second oldest. My older brother, like my dad would have to come because our parents were separated, but my dad would come and he would whoop that little boy. Now he's a grown man. But like, you beat up your sister. How does no, I didn't. And then I would be crying like, no, don't hurt him. Anyways, I say that to say I have very thick skin. I've been made fun of. My brothers don't play. They will come for me any time of the day, right? And I thanked them today. I said, you know what? Because you guys were so hard on me, I can handle just about anything. And they're like, good. That's what we wanted for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, that's
come for me. Come for me.
Yeah. And I will. I'm just putting it out there again. I will, don't take it personally. Don't get mad. I'll come for you. And only if you're not going to, if you get elected and you don't do the things you said of course I'm going to come for you. Yeah. Christ, that's what we should all be doing. I don't know why that's even controversial. I don't know. Again, we've gotten to this cult of personality thing where, we put these politicians up on pedestals and somehow they're now, we can't criticize them. That's ridiculous.
We don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Oh,
they're doing it in your face. They're not even doing it behind.
I don't care what's happening behind the scenes. What I care about is results. That's what I care about. And we don't have anything to show for it. We have nothing to show for their them being elected. Nothing. We have nothing. We've got nothing. I mean, PAYGO, and people will bring up, really, PAYGO? Really? You're going to do that? And now we'll get the eviction moratorium, which was nothing. That's nothing. We got nothing. We got a 60-day extension on some, it's like a Band-Aid on a dead body. There are still people who, after those 60 days are up, they're still going to not have the money to pay their back rent. None of that's been canceled. And then they're going to get evicted anyways. So you bought them 60 more days. I mean, I guess that's, yay, 60 days. Am I supposed to cheer for that? It's what?
I mean, but the damage had already been done. A lot of people had already started a lot of landlords already started processing their eviction before it had lapsed. And they're well within their legal right to process these evictions. It took how many days? Like 4 or 5 days before it was reinstated. So that's too late.
Yeah. No, and now we're about the student loan thing is about to come up. With the 60 days is going to be coming up on the eviction moratorium. There's it's just like they're kicking the can down the road. It's like crisis after crisis after crisis, and nobody's.
The Democrats have a problem in the midterms. Okay, they have a problem. Don't think that these Republicans are not going to use every single lie. You guys promised so much, and you didn't deliver on any of it. If they're smart, which the Republicans are, they're going to use that message and they're going to turn a lot or not. They don't even care about turning out votes. They're just going to keep people at home.
Well, listen, that's the formula. The Democrats get elected and then they get wiped out in the midterms. That's been the formula for a long time. And it's, they're able to then like abdicate power. Like they don't have to, oh, well, we're not in charge anymore. So there's nothing that we can do. And, before, like now they like to try to blame Joe Manchin and they like to try to blame, yes.
They're the bad ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny is Joe Manchin has all this power, but the squad as a unit can't affect any change whatsoever. Come on. I wasn't born yesterday. That's really, you're telling. So Bernie Sanders somehow doesn't have the same power as Joe Manchin does in the Senate to get things done. Come on, dude. I'm not dumb. It's insulting to my intelligence to pretend that these people can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like no one senator is more powerful than the, like, you know what I mean? Joe Manchin isn't like a super senator.
That is a really good point.
It's really, it's frustrating to me that this is something, he's not like some, special power. The squad as a unit, like we can't even get them to vote as a block. On anything. And then we have some of them voting present on things like expanding funding for cops after they were defund that's insulting. They spent all last summer during Black Lives Matter protesting, pandering, talking about defunding the police, and then a bill comes up to give the cops more money and they vote present.
It's whatever it takes to get the vote.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm. And Black people are exploited for their votes day in and day out. We're exploited for everything, but especially our vote. And we get nothing in return. I'm sorry, but I feel Ice Cube. Like, where are our demands? Everybody was getting on his case, but he came up with a contract. Like, where is the contract with Black America? Stop just letting people take your vote without requesting something in return. We are long overdue for reparations. I keep asking, where's the 40 acres and a mule? Like, hello.
I see you tweet that sometimes. Yeah.
I'm like, it's a joke, but I'm serious. It represents what Black America has not gotten for what they've given, period.
Yeah. And for years, hundreds of years.
We don't have any land. We shouldn't even be worried about being evicted. We should have our own land. We should have our own property.
Businesses. Yeah.
We should have our own businesses. But yet we let foreign investors come into our towns, our districts, and just wipe every one of our Black businesses out. Right now, we have a Canadian investor that's buying everything in the district. Everything. And moving everyone out.
And that's happening across the country.
It is.
Across
and no
the country.
Stopping this because money talks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about
someone's business plan. That's it. That's what we are.
Well, we're human capital.
Yeah.
We only matter as much as we can make a profit for somebody somewhere. To the extent that we cannot, that's all. It's literally, they don't think about us as individuals, human beings, lives. That's just not a thing. I'm white. I can't talk about Black issues, but to me, it's been really frustrating, especially over the last couple of days. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, but watching white allies shit on Black people and Black activists and be so dismissive. That's been really infuriating, embarrassing, I think. It's embarrassing to have white leftists behave in that way. And it's the same thing that I have said before about talking to people who we don't agree with. To me, as a white person, that's especially important because I have the privilege to go into white spaces and have those conversations.
And it is a privilege. And I'm sorry, I know people don't want to hear it, but it is. There are certain spaces that I can't get access to, but that you can get me access to. Mm-hmm. It's a privilege. And I didn't see anything, but I heard. So I definitely, after this, maybe you can give me a little bit of the tea, because I just saw everything blowing up on Twitter the past
it was honestly one of the most, my jaw dropped. Like, and I'm very rare. I mean, we can talk. This is bitch. We can talk about it. So Jay and Afeni went on Jen Perlman's show. Who I'm no fan of Jen Perlman. We've definitely had our stuff in the past. Specifically when she told Nina Turner to ignore the Assange issue because it was politically inconvenient. While she's hosting a show about Julian Assange, by the way, I can't. But my brain can't even function in that. I can't. But so they had him on, and the whole goal of the show was to unify the left, right? And so obviously Jen and Peter are like you. They believe in electoral politics. Jay and Afeni do not believe in electoral politics, and they believe more in direct action. And so the conversation was going along, and they were talking about the different strategies and whatever. And Jay was CJ was fired up, and he absolutely had every right to be. Again, I always feel weird talking about this because I'm white, and this isn't my. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're explaining it to me.
I am. I don't mean to be speaking for him here. I'm just explaining to you what I witnessed on the show. But so he was just explaining to her that Black people don't have time for incrementalism. Like there just isn't. His cousin was recently murdered. It's a whole thing, right? So he was just trying to explain to her why incrementalism and waiting for the party to reform and all of this stuff is not an option for his community. And she was incredibly dismissive to him and very condescending. And then, Peter jumps in and he's like trying to explain himself. And out of nowhere, nobody ever mentioned reparations whatsoever. He like stumbles into it and is like, well, we fully support reparations. And CJ was pissed and he's like, listen, dude, don't pander to me, because it's exactly what was happening. And Jen booted them from the stream, kicked him off, like wouldn't even listen to him. And I literally my jaw dropped to the floor. It was so really just gross. They were just incredibly condescending.
Ross Perot it, dude. She Ross fucking Perot it.
What do you mean?
Those people.
Oh yeah. Then she did those people. Like she spent like the next 15 minutes on the stream, then bitching about them behind their back. Like she booted them from the stream and then like talked a bunch of shit about them, and then had the nerve to say, well, I don't care because my life is great. And all of you haters, all you do is help my algorithm. Like that's all this is to you, is your algorithm, and people like you're okay with pissing people off and shitting on Black activists because that gets you clicks. And it was honestly, and then she put out this really weak ass apology today that she didn't even tag Afeni or CJ in it. And she didn't, like, if it's me and I behave that way, I would contact them privately first and then maybe invite them back on and, swallow my pride and admit that I fucked up because she fucked up. It was honestly, and I mean, maybe I'm biased because I already have my issues with her, but I don't think so, because I certainly wasn't the only person that reacted like that. But when my jaw dropped when he brought up reparations, because that wasn't even a thing that was being discussed. They were discussing force the vote, and he was just like throwing out a buzzword to pander to CJ, and CJ wasn't having any part of it. And I love CJ. He handled it very well. I think they both handled it very well, but it was honestly one of the most disgusting displays.
Were they in the middle of speaking when they got booted off?
Yes. CJ was in the middle of a sentence and she just like, boop, clicked him out and cut them both off, and they were gone. And then they spent like 15 minutes bitching about them. Then they had Gabriel Shipton on, who is Julian Assange's stepbrother, on the show, which that infuriated me that, he was put in that position. And then after he was gone, then they spent another like 15 minutes bitching about CJ and Afeni. So it was really disturbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, don't just take my word for it. I fully suggest that you go watch it for yourself and make your own conclusions, because again,
take the video down.
yeah. Don't take I'm not asking anybody to take my perspective and make it your own. You can watch it for yourself. Again, I probably have already a bias. I mean, I'm free to admit to my biases. I have my issues with Jen. But my issues with Jen are, kind of because of the way that she behaved last night. Like, it's not the first time that I've noticed that behavior from her. So, it was honestly, the level of condescension. I mean, there was a time where, like, right after Jay was speaking about his cousin being murdered, and they were talking about the difference in strategy, and she's like, well, you have your platform, or you can go talk about that. And I'm like, what? And then she tried to claim that she was ambushed, that the only reason they came, you invited them on your show. That's not being ambushed. That's not what that means. You know?
I don't even know what to say. So I mean, I know Jen and Peter.
You don't have to say anything. Like, I don't
Yeah.
mean to put you in that position. I know that that's probably an because I know that you're in the same area. So I'm just,
Yeah, no,
that's,
we're in the
yeah.
same area. I'm just saying, I didn't watch it, but you said it was taken down?
No, I don't think it was taken down.
No? Okay.
Rome's in the chat. Rome's in the chat. Hi, Rome. Oh my God, I miss Rome so
Oh,
much.
I
Sorry.
don't see. Where do I see this? Is
It's in the
comment.
chat. Yeah. Rome. I miss Rome so much on Twitter. Seriously, I miss Rome. Rome, you need to come on my show, homie.
Well, look at all these comments. What do we?
I'm really bad at monitoring the chat. I'm literally the worst. I have severe ADHD, and it's really difficult for me to maintain a conversation with a guest and follow the chat.
Mhm.
And I'm really sorry. Like, I know people love when you engage with the chat and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm just not very good. Oh, Nick's here too. Nick's here too.
Let's just scroll for a second and
I know.
let's see if there's
Let's
anything
read
that
some
we
stuff.
can.
I'm sure that there were some questions. I think I saw somebody asked what's your opinion on vaccine mandates? Which I don't know if you want to.
I
COVID's
can
like
answer that.
okay.
I don't think anything should be mandated.
Thank you.
I don't. I am pro-choice in everything. It doesn't stop at abortion. So I have a lot of family members that are against the vaccine. I have a lot of family members that are for the vaccine. I do not sway anyone either way. I want everyone to be safe. Full disclosure, I just recovered from COVID. You can call me Christine the super spreader. I got my entire family infected. It was a nightmare.
I shouldn't laugh, but that was funny.
Yeah, no, I'm like Christine the super spreader. I literally got everyone infected because I took multiple tests, and it said that I had 4 negative tests before I went to my niece's 2-year-old party. My brother asked me to take a test. I took it. My niece is also my goddaughter. I want to make sure that I was perfectly safe. I was negative, but even though the test said negative, I was positive, and I infected everyone. And I had actually just gotten I'd gotten the vaccine, recently, and so I thought maybe this was like an effect of the first shot or whatever. And no, it wasn't. I had COVID. so and I was actually reluctant to get the shot as well for a very long time. I was like, not doing it. And not necessarily because I didn't think that it was a good thing to get the vaccine. I just needed more information. That was it. That was my only thing. I just needed more information. So I actually met with an epidemiologist, and I got a lot of questions. I haven't been cleared to answer those questions yet, which is kind of interesting, because I asked her, I said, I asked people to give me questions so that I can ask you. Can I bring them back? She goes, yes, but I have to be very careful on how I address myself because I work for a company. And so I'm waiting on her clearance. And then I have answers to quite a few of the questions. They were really good answers. So I get it. So nonetheless, I had gotten the vaccine. I'm thinking, maybe I have symptoms. Like, I don't know, maybe this is part of that. But they're like, no, it's been too long since you had the first shot. It can't be that. And I said, no, it's got to be that because I've got 4 negative tests.
Right.
Positive. I infected the entire family. And so honestly, I was terrified. My brother got pneumonia one day and he went to the hospital. I was literally on my knees because my brother, he's my older brother, but he's my best friend, And so I was like, no, God, like, please. And long story short, everybody survived. And all I want is that for everyone. Whatever it takes for you to survive, I just want you to survive it. The thing sucks. And I don't think anything should be forced on anyone. What kind of world would that be if I said, I'm going to force you to inject this into your body and you're not comfortable with it. So instead of saying, let's force people, let's continue to educate people. Let's answer people's questions. People have concerns. Instead of pointing the finger and knocking everything down, instead of saying, oh, anti-vax. And I put a post up about Joe Biden talking to us like we're little kids, like, oh, you better get this vaccine or else. And everyone called me an anti-vax. And I said, I'm not anti-vax. I get vaccines. My kids get vaccinated. I'm not anti-vax. I want more information. I'm not.
What happened to informed consent? What happened to that? Like, I'm not, people try to call me anti-vax too. I have not gotten the vaccine yet. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for that. Come for me. I don't care. I'm in a position where I don't have to leave my house that often. And so I feel comfortable with delaying and waiting for a little while until I have more information. But it's funny when people will try to call me an anti-vaxxer. I literally got put on a list of pro-vaccine people that anti-vaccine people hate in 2015. I'm literally on a list. I have a t-shirt. Like, I'm not, like, my child is autistic, and I had to go through the whole, I spent like 5 years in the anti-vax, like fighting the anti-vax crowd, because people will try to use vaccines as like a way, you know what I mean? Like so I'm not anti-vax in any way, shape, or form. There's no way anybody could ever call me anti-vaccine. And yet they do. And it's not that, and you're right. People who get mad at those who are hesitant about the vaccine or whatever need to spend a little bit of time being angry at the institutions that have created such a environment of distrust that people don't feel like they can be comfortable taking something that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't trust these institutions. They lie to us constantly.
Well, what the epidemiologist was telling me is that, and she is a Black woman, she said, especially in the African-American culture, we already have a distrust with medicine. And so it makes sense for us to spend a little extra time speaking to those Black and brown that have a history of sort of being looked over or
experimented on.
Or, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So there's a history there. So respect that history and just give them the knowledge. Stop trying to push something down somebody's throat. So I just think that it became very intense, and people are defriending people, and it doesn't have to be like that. I belong to a family group chat, and my uncle saying anyone in the family that's not vaccinated is a cretin. I'm like, and you should be locked up. I said, really? Like, is that, like, we're gonna go there? Like, that's where we're gonna go? So, you know, anyway, long story short, I think that we can save a lot more lives through education.
Yes, I agree. And also, Jay and Sabby are in the chat too. So it's essentially like a Fred Hampton leftist chat over here. The whole damn fam is in the chat, and I love it. It makes me happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I told in the group chat the other day, because I think it was like last week, I did Meg's show, I did Sabby's show, I had like a ladies' night with Afeni and Sabs, and who else? Oh, Meg. And then I had a fellas' night with Nick and RJ and JB, and then CJ came on this past week, and then JB came back and RJ came back. So I've been like, and I told I forget which group chat it was, one of the ones I'm in with Nick, and I was like, you know, Nico's gonna think I'm cheating on MCSE with Red Hampton leftist.
I don't see Nico in any of this.
I know. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Nico. And then I said I'm essentially like an honorary member of Fred Hampton leftist at this point. So yeah, I'm because I love I love that. I love the fact that there's we need that in independent media. Like, we need some solidarity, because they're going to come for all of us. I mean, we've been seeing that. They've demonetized Convo Couch, and they demonetized Nico, and they're going to come for all of us. And so as much solidarity as we can have, I mean, even if, listen, we're not all going to agree on everything. There's going to be stuff that, like, I'm sure that I say that pisses Nick off, or that, you know, that RJ says. Actually, I don't think there's anything that RJ's so nice. He's just so nice. But you know what I mean? Like, we're not always going to agree. But I think that for the most part, we all understand that we're working towards the same stuff, and that we're on the same team, and that we're trying, you know what I mean? And so I think that that's, if we can find those people, especially in independent media, because we need those voices now more than ever. I mean, with as much censorship and as propaganda is going on, and like the algorithmically, I mean, it's madness right now. And so we really need, like, you know, to be able to stick together and fight for each other. And when somebody gets censored, we all need to scream about it. Like, we all need to get really loud about it and reverse that. So,
which also really makes me, like, I'm just so baffled at what happened, you know, the other day on the show, because it's like, we're already being censored. Like, you guys are already being censored. You can't cancel each other out mid-sentence.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't do this to each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Rome just Suge Knighted me in the comments. Come to Death Row Records. Wasn't that like the Source Awards or something? I don't remember what it was, or where it was like the big East Coast, like that's what kicked it off. Come to Death Row Records. Pac was was in jail at the time.
Oh, hi,
Sorry.
Savvy.
Yeah.
She says hi.
Yeah, she said to give you a virtual hug earlier, I think. Something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and JB says I am an honorary member. You're damn straight, homie. I'm an honorary FHL member. I love that crew. I really do. They're doing great work. And they're all, a thing I love about them, and I think I told RJ this a long time ago when I first interviewed him, they all have, it's like a group, but they all have their own perspectives and their own things, and they're different. And so, they all kind of bring their own thing to the table, which I love. So me just hyping up FHL over here. I'm like your hype man, y'all.
It was the Source Awards, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a Source Award. I don't know. I
used to live in LA for 7 years because I thought I was going to be this famous actress, singer, dancer. That's another story. I'm leaving work, right? I look at the restaurant across the street. It's Suge Knight.
Oh my God, I would be. He's scary.
And I'm walking to the bus stop, and mind you, I'm like in my tight little outfit, and I'm like terrified. I'm like, dear God, don't let this man hit on me. I'm trying to make sure, how far is the bus? Can I go hide somewhere? I was scared. And
he's scary. He's a scary dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he hung Vanilla Ice off a balcony, y'all.
Off a balcony, ice, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with Suge Knight.
That.
Sleepy Josh. It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, Vanilla Ice is kind of a punk, but I mean, Suge Knight's a scary dude. Let's be real. He is a very scary dude. I don't even know. I wouldn't want to like cross him in a dark alley. That's for sure. No. He's basically like a mob guy, like you know what I mean? Like,
I don't want to say too much. Don't be getting
That's true. That's true.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
Never again.
I'm sorry, Suge. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I was just playing. I was just kidding. It was a joke. It was a joke. God, I'm sorry. Is he in jail? Is he in jail right now?
I believe so.
I think okay, but he's got people. You're right. I'm sorry, Suge. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, sir. Anyway, I know that you have your kids and stuff, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. RJ's here too. It is legitimately we just need Meg and Jackie, and who else am I forgetting? Anyway, it's like FHL just took over my chat and I love it. Yeah. So anyways, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, your campaign website, all of that stuff, and let everybody know what you have going on or coming up?
Yes. So you can find me on Twitter at Christine FOR24. So Christine 424. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm just trying to get back on those, but it's at Christine for Congress. And you can go on my website, www.christineforcongress.org, and for is spelled out, FOR, christineforcongress.org. What do I have coming up? So right now we're just organizing for Haiti. That's like the immediate thing. I have like fundraisers coming up, but I can't even talk about, like I said, it's all about the people right now. So I will keep you posted on what we decide to do for Haiti. Like I said, the money's going to be spent in the country, and that's where I put my foot down. So whatever I give you, I want you to know it's going to be vetted, and we're going to know that we can trust these people on the ground.
Good. Yeah. As soon as you have that, seriously, I always, like I said earlier, I always feel helpless when something like that happens, because the corruption around this disaster relief or humanitarian aid is so disgusting. And, you want to help, but I also don't want my money going in the pocket of some, executive somewhere, some board member of some, NGO or whatever. So definitely let me know when you have that going on. And thanks for coming on. Look, I didn't even turn on you. All those people who were like, don't go on her show. I didn't even turn on you. Like, I have no problem with you. Like, it's, I get it. I'm an asshole.
I explained to them that, I can handle myself. I'm a big girl. I got it.
I'm not that scary. What did you say, Sleepy?
I just said, holy shit, you can actually have a conversation with somebody.
Oh my God. It's amazing, right? But I get it, y'all. I get it. I'm an asshole. I get it. I'm aggressive on Twitter. I don't have a filter. I get it. Like but I get, and I'm not for everybody. I get that too. But just shut the fuck up. Seriously. I'm so tired of hearing people bitch about how I'm too mean to the squad. Okay. You know what? They're grown ass elected officials. They have an immense amount of power. I'm going to come for them. Just deal with it. Ugh, if you want to be nice, you do that. I'm not a nice person. Well, at least not to them. I am nice to my friends.
Stop idolizing politicians.
Yeah,
They are
please.
not there to be your friends. They are there to work for you. I need you to put your employer hat on. They work for you. What do you want them to deliver, and demand that of them now?
Yeah. And you have to hold them accountable. That's just the only way to do it. So thanks for coming on. I mean, again, we may not agree on strategy, but that's fine. And I wish you luck in your campaign. I mean, I think it would be great if you got elected. It certainly wouldn't hurt. The only thing I worry about is if you get elected, then I do have to hold you accountable. And I like you. So but I'll still do it. I will still do it. I have no problem doing it.
It's okay.
So,
listen, I told you, my brothers, they like me, they love me, and they still beat me up. So bring it on.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. So, the only thing I have coming up for you guys next week, we have, oh God, I keep getting this mixed up. I think next week is Magnus or Sharif. I don't know. My calendar's upstairs and I don't know, but then it's either Magnus or Sharif, and then it's flip-flopped like the next week. And then the following week after that, Danny Haifong's going to be on Bitch. And he's so funny. Like, I asked him, he DM'd me and asked me if he could come on one of my shows. And I'm like, well, which one? And he was like, Bitch, honestly, because it seems like a lot of fun and I never get to be a bitch. And I'm like, this is the perfect seriously.
Glorious, dude.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm really excited for that one because he is kind of like he's a respectable journalist, and I'm excited to get him to let loose a little bit. So that's going to be fun. I'm really excited about that. And then other than that, on Facts on the Ground, I went on one of my crazy booking sprees. We have so many interviews coming out. We have Garland Nixon. We just interviewed Sharif today about the stuff that March for Medicare for All is doing. We interviewed Magnus about the End the Damn War protests. We have Rachel Bevins coming up. We just interviewed Alan McLeod. There's a whole lot of stuff coming up. So pay attention on the Facts on the Ground YouTube page. Obviously, we have the vigils every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We've been doing them for over 2 years. I would really like to stop doing them. So if we could get Julian Assange out of prison, that would be great. That would be so great. I would really like to not have to do the vigils 2 times a week anymore. Not that I don't love it. It's a love-hate because, talking about genocide and war crimes and the torture of journalists is not exactly a good time. It takes a lot out of a person. So if we could get him out of prison, then I can maybe breathe and I'll be less annoying then. If you need that as your motivation, if Julian Assange gets out of prison, I will definitely be less annoying. Let's be real. Okay. So I think that's all I have coming up. Also, obviously, every week I tell everybody to go to Sleepy Josh's Twitter page at abortu, ABORTU. He has a buy me a coffee link there. He is the best tech ninja in the game and we love him and he does so much for everybody, and I couldn't do the show without him. So definitely go and buy him a coffee. He needs it. He's not named Sleepy Josh for no reason. Oh, and today was Commander X's birthday. So I just want to wish Commander X a happy birthday. He is currently in jail for some bullshit. He shouldn't be there. If you guys have some money to throw at his books, I'm sure he would appreciate that. You can also write to him. I'm sure he would appreciate that. You can follow Free Commander X _ for all of the information, or you can follow somebody like Steve or Nat Rivera Scott, or any number of people who are in those circles. But I just wanted to mention that because it is his birthday today. So happy birthday, X. We love you. We miss you. We haven't given up, dude. We're gonna get you out of there. So that's all I have. And we will just catch everybody next week, I guess. Thanks for everybody for checking in. Thanks, FHL, for hanging out in the chat. We love you. Later, guys.